Today is Sunday, September the 4th, 2016, and yesterday, Saturday morning, September the 3rd, 2016, Donald Trump attended a black church service in Detroit, Michigan. Now, the name of the church is called Great Faith Ministries, and I'll put a link to their website in the box below. It's headed up by one Mr. Wayne T. Jackson, who is a bishop, and his wife, Beverly Yvonne. Now, before I get into what happened at the actual place and everything associated with it, I just want to say that their son is Brandon T. Jackson. Now, you may recognize him from a variety of different TV shows, movies he's been involved with. I think the most notable one is Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters. Now, by the way, he did not play Percy Jackson, even though his last name is Jackson, but I digress. The point is that he's a very well-known actor, 32 years old. So I haven't heard anything bad about the son, so I guess that says a lot about the parents, that they're good people. So the point about me saying that is that this is a good church, good people. So Trump is in the church, and he got a lot of criticism about it, and he also has gotten a lot of praise about what he did. Now, before I can get into my actual thoughts about it, what I want to do is play video of the service. You know, prior to the service, he was in the crowd. He was kind of swaying along with the music. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I'll show you the actual speech he gave at the church. I'm not quite sure if that was technically during the church service, but it was in the church in front of the congregation. And then I'll show you what happened after the actual speech that he gave and what Mr. Wayne T. Jackson, the bishop, did for him. And then after we play it, I'm going to come back and give you my final thoughts. So go ahead and roll it.
Well, I just wrote this the other day knowing I'd be here, and I mean it from the heart. And I'd like to just read it, and I think you'll understand it maybe better than I do in certain ways. For centuries, the African American church has been the conscience of our country. So true. It's from the pews and pulpits and Christian teachings of black churches all across this land that the civil rights movement lifted up its soul and lifted up the soul of our nation. It's from these pews that our nation has been inspired toward a better moral character, a deeper concern for mankind, and spirit of charity and unity that binds us all together, and we are bound together, and I see that today. This has been an amazing day for me. The African American faith community has been one of God's greatest gifts to America and to its people. There is perhaps no action our leaders can take that would do more to heal our country and support our people than to provide a greater platform to the black churches and churchgoers. You do right every day by your community and your families. You raise children in the light of God. I will always support your church, always, and defend your right to worship. So important. I am here today to listen to your message, and I hope my presence here will also help your voice to reach new audiences in our country, and many of these audiences desperately need your spirit and your thought. I can tell you that. Christian faith is not the past, but the present and the future. Make it stronger. We'll make it stronger. And we'll open it up to great, great leaders like Pastor Jackson, Bishop Jackson, Dr. Jackson, and so many others. And so many others actually sitting here. Darrell Scott. We have, who's phenomenal, who's been with me for so long. Omarosa, who's actually a very nice person, but I don't want to say that because I'll destroy her image by saying that, right? She's actually a very, very fine person and a pastor. And I just want to thank all of the folks. And there is somebody that's been very special to me, Dr. Ben Carson, who's been, stand up, Ben. Come here. Come. Come here, Ben. This is a great man and a great guy. So as I prepare to campaign all across the nation and in every community, I will have an opportunity to lay out my plans for economic change, which will be so good for Detroit and so good for this community because we're going to bring jobs back. I will have a chance, thank you, we'll bring them back. I'm taking them back from Mexico and everywhere else because they're gone. I will have a chance to discuss school choice, which is very important, and how to put every American on the ladder to success, a great education, a great job. But today, I just want to let you know that I am here to listen to you, and I've been doing that. And we had a fantastic interview with Bishop Jackson. It was really an amazing interview. He's better than the people that do that professionally. I will tell you, it's true. It's true. It's true. He's better. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know. Was this going to be nice? Was this going to be wild? He is a great gentleman and a very smart guy. I just hope you don't lose him to Hollywood. That's the only problem. And especially Dr. Jackson. She may be gone. Hollywood is calling. Look at all those television cameras back there. Now look at all the television cameras. I'm sorry to do that to you, Bishop, because, you know, one of those things, right? Our nation is too divided. We talk past each other, not to each other, and those who seek office do not do enough to step into the community and learn what is going on. They don't know. They have no clue. I'm here today to learn so that we can together remedy injustice in any form, and so that we can also remedy economics so that the African-American community can benefit economically through jobs and income and so many other different ways. Our political system has failed the people and works only to enrich itself. I want to reform that system so that it works for you, everybody in this room. I believe true reform can only come from outside the system. I really mean that. Being a businessman is much different than being a politician, because I understand what's happening. And we are going outside of the establishment. Becoming the nominee of the party of Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people don't realize that Abraham Lincoln, the great Abraham Lincoln, was a Republican. Has been the greatest honor of my life. It is on his legacy that I hope to build the future of the party, but more important, the future of the country and the community. I believe we need a civil rights agenda for our time, one that ensures the rights to a great education, so important, and the right to live in safety and in peace, and to have a really, really great job, a good paying job, and one that you love to go to every morning. And that can happen. We need to bring our companies back. It also means the right to have a government that protects our workers and fights, really fights, for our jobs. I want to help you build and rebuild Detroit, and we can do that, especially with people like Bishop Jackson and Dr. Jackson. I mean that. It's been an amazing experience. It's been an amazing experience. True. Nothing is more sad than when we sideline young black men with unfulfilled potential, tremendous potential. I met some people this morning that were incredible people, and they're looking for jobs. These are incredible people, young people. Our whole country loses out when we're unable to harness the brilliance and the energy of these folks. We're one nation, And when anyone hurts, we all hurt together, and that's so true. So true. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're all created by the same God. We must love each other and support each other, and we are in this all together, all together. I fully understand that the African American community has suffered from discrimination and that there are many wrongs that must still be made right. They will be made right. I want to make America prosperous for everyone. I want to make this city the economic envy of the world. We can do that. We can do that again. Factories everywhere, new roads and bridges, new schools, especially schools, and new hope. I have been so greatly blessed, and in so many ways, with no greater blessing than my family. I've had a great family. Nothing would make me happier and more fulfilled than to use what I have learned in business and in traveling all over the world. I've sort of seen a lot. To bring the wealth and prosperity and opportunity to those who have not had these opportunities before, and that's many, many people in Detroit. When I see wages falling, people out of work, I know the hardships this inflicts, and I am determined to do something about it. I will do something about it. I do get things done, I will tell you. Some people have strengths. That's one of my, I get things done. I'm going to get things done for you. Please know this. For any who are hurting, things are going to turn around. Tomorrow will be better. It will be much better. The pastor and I were talking about riding up the street, and we see all those closed stores and people sitting down on the sidewalk and no jobs and no activity. We'll get it turned around. We'll get it turned around, Pastor. Believe me. We're going to win again as a country, and we're going to win again for all of our people. I want to work with you to renew the bonds of trust between citizens and the bonds of faith that make our nation strong. America has been lifted out of many of its most difficult hours through the miracle of faith and through people like Bishop Jackson and Dr. Jackson. So important. People have no idea how important they are. Now, in these hard times for our country, let us turn again to our Christian heritage to lift up the soul of our nation. I am so deeply grateful to be here today, and it is my prayer that America of tomorrow, and I mean that the America of tomorrow will be one of unity, togetherness, and peace. And perhaps we can add the word prosperity. Okay, prosperity. I'd like to conclude with a passage from 1 John chapter 4. You know it. See, most groups I speak to don't know that, but we know it. If you want, we can say it together. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and His love is made complete in us. And that's so true. Thank you very much. This has been such an honor. Thank you very much. Bishop, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Preacher. Honey, would you come a moment? My wife and I want to give you something that's going to be a blessing to you. This is a prayer shawl straight from Israel. And with this prayer shawl, whenever you hold this for me, please. Whenever you're flying from coast to coast, I know you just came back from Mexico, and you'll be flying from city to city. There is an anointing. The anointing is the power of God. When the woman who had the issue of blood said that I can only touch the hem of Jesus' garment, I was made whole. Nothing else could help her but the power of God. It's going to be some times in your life that you're going to feel forsaken. You're going to feel down. But the anointing is going to lift you up. I prayed over this personally, and I fasted over it. And I want to just put this on you now. And this is the Jewish Heritage Study Bible. And we have it especially for you, and we have one for your wife. Because when things go down, you can study the Word of God. When things seem like it's almost impossible, you will read Mark 9:23, if thou canst believe. All things are possible.
Okay, so you were able to see what's going on there. You're able to hear what was going on. Now, what I want to do first is address each part of the situation. You know, the first part, the speech, and then the actual aftermath. Now, the first part, you know, I thought that was a good thing for him to actually be involved with the church, you know, in a different kind of way. You know, a lot of people would go to a church to give a speech, but Trump was actually in the congregation, you know, kind of like vibing along with the music. That's the best way I can explain it. You know, people try to say he was dancing and it was off beat. It's like, nah, I mean, he was just chilling. He was just there, just soaking it all up, trying to be a part of it. Matter of fact, I think it was a church member who said that it looked like he had not really been used to that kind of environment, but he was trying to actually become one with it, become unified with it. And that's all that really matters, in my humble opinion. Now, people talk about Republicans, how they don't reach out to the black community. And I think this was a prime example of what you should do if you're a Republican, to not only appease those people that say that you're not reaching out, but to reach out in general. I think outreach is a good thing. Why not? If there's a community that you think could be better served, just go ahead and reach out to them. You know, go to the church, go to wherever they are. I think a lot of the criticism that Trump is getting is because he's a Republican and people don't like Republicans in general. So even if people say that they want him to reach out, maybe that's not what they actually want him to do. Maybe they're just saying that because they don't like Donald Trump. But I digress. Let's move on to the second part, which was the main speech. Now, the speech was a good speech. You know, it was a basic thing about bringing jobs back. It was scripted, of course. He was reading most of it, but he did go off of the script sometimes, and he gave a compliment to the actual bishop and the bishop's wife. I thought that was a good thing for him to do, to show some humanity. Trump always does that, but sometimes people don't like his humanity. They don't like him being honest and being truthful, but I think he showed a very kind side to himself, but also a very direct and pointed side when he read what was going on. And by the way, Ben Carson was there. You saw him in the front with Trump when the music was playing in the beginning of the video. And you also saw Omarosa, who is, you know, a world famous person, may not necessarily be an A-list celebrity, but she's very well known. She was on The Apprentice show for like, I think 10 years with Donald Trump. So these are trusted people he has by his side. Hopefully Ben Carson will get a spot in Trump's administration, but I digress. Point is that they were there, and I'm pretty sure they had a hand in writing whatever Trump wrote, because what better person to get information about the black community from than trusted people who are actually African American. You know, Ben Carson, who was from Detroit, you know, during this little trip, they went to Ben Carson's neighborhood and they were walking around with Trump and, you know, everybody else. So I think they probably had a big impact on whatever he wrote, which makes sense. You know, if you're a president, if you're any kind of politician, the best thing you can have is good advisors, people that will tell you, okay, we're going to this place. I need you to say X, Y, and Z. That's going to be the best thing for you. But at the end of the day, the message was pretty much his, the same one he gives normally wherever he's at. It's the same thing about bringing jobs back. That's pretty much what his whole thing is centered upon. And I think having Ben Carson and Omarosa there to help him just gave him a better ability to express himself in front of the all black church, or mostly black church. And moving forward to the end of the actual situation where the bishop presented them with the shawl and the Bible, I think that was a good gesture, if nothing else, to show hospitality, because you got a guy that could be the president in your midst. Why not show them hospitality? Why not give them a gracious welcome? I think that was good for the church. And it was also good for Trump to be gracious and accepting and not standoffish. He was pretty warm and receiving, which is a good thing when you're trying to do any kind of outreach program. But of course, people on Twitter, people online, and even some people outside of the actual church were protesting. But my thing is this, what are you protesting really? Are you protesting the Democrat Party, who has had the city of Detroit under its grasp for 50 to 100 years? Now I'm not going to say that the Democrat Party is all to blame for the problems of Detroit, because, that's just not what it is, but they have a large responsibility in it. They've been there in charge. So why are you protesting the Republican guy? Why not protest the people that run your city? Trump is just a politician for the first time this election cycle. So he has no responsibility as to what's going on in Detroit right now. What about your mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, who actually got locked up for stealing, right? Who people actually love in Detroit. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of individuals in Detroit love Kwame Kilpatrick because he's black, even though he's a thief. And he was having sex with the interns in the office. He had his whole family in on it, but I digress. The point is that I think they're protesting the wrong people. And people online, you got pundits, you had Chris Wallace grilling Ben Carson on Fox News Sunday today, talking about, are you seen as a pawn? Are you seen as a token or whatever in Trump's campaign? Stupid stuff. And then you got the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, talking about Trump is a racist because of what he said about what do you have to lose? What he said was an actual real question. What do we have to lose? Look at the food stamps. Look at everything that's going on in the black community. What is there really to lose? What he said could be offensive. It could trigger you, make you upset. It could make you butthurt, but you can't say just because you're butthurt that Trump is a racist. And that's a silly comment to make. That's a dangerous comment to make, to accuse somebody of something that's not true. But I digress. Point is that people are upset at Trump for what he did in the outreach because they don't like Trump. Because I remember Rand Paul went to the barbershop, and a lot of the individuals that are criticizing Donald Trump right now praised Rand Paul. And I think the reason for that is because Rand Paul is not really seen as somebody that had a chance of winning. And he was also more of a moderate. He's not so radical like Donald Trump is. Trump is more of a hardcore conservative and a nationalist. More of a nationalist than a conservative, because by today's standard of conservative, he may not necessarily fit, because a conservative today is more of a neoconservative, somebody that wants to go intervene overseas, which ain't that much different than Hillary Clinton in all actuality. At the end of the day, people felt more comfortable with Rand Paul. He was not as threatening as Donald Trump is. With Rand Paul, he's kind of like that neutral kind of guy, kind of the libertarian, doesn't really rock the boat, kind of like Gary Johnson, right? So they're comfortable with him, but somebody like Donald Trump, who says you're going to, put a wall up and we're not going to have Muslims because they're a terror risk. Oh, no, we can't have that. He's a racist because he says he wants to have the country be more secure, right? That's what it is. It doesn't really matter. He can go out there and kiss babies, which he did in Detroit. He kissed some babies, and people are saying that, oh, he's just doing that because he just wants to get brownie points in the black community. But come on, man. All politicians do that. It's just a matter of, do you like him or not? Because if it was Bill Clinton doing that back in the 90s, it'd be all good. And Bill Clinton said much of the same things that Trump says right now about immigration. Now, when he says it, he gets a round of applause. But when Trump says it, all of a sudden he's a racist, right? And when Hillary Clinton says, that young black gangbangers are super predators in the early 90s, that's not really a big deal. People kind of made a little fuss about it. You had some Black Lives Matter protests make a fuss about it at a speech at a campaign site that Bill Clinton was at. But Bill Clinton summarily just shut them down.
I don't know how you would characterize the gang leaders who got 13-year-old kids hopped up on crack and sent them out onto the street to murder other African-American children. Maybe you thought they were good citizens. She didn't. She didn't. You are defending the people who kill the lives you say matter. Tell the truth.
And then there was no more said. There was no more really said of it. But imagine if that was Donald Trump. That would be on the news every day. that he said that every single day. It's a double standard. If you like liberals, you pretty much get them a pass. Hillary has no policy. Hillary has nothing. I mean, people said that Trump was dancing or whatever in the church. But when Roland Martin, a black liberal TV pundit, goes on TV with Hillary Clinton and tries to get her to do the wobble, and he dances with her.
That's how I told y'all need the music.
That's not really a big issue. But when Trump is in the church just vibing along with it and just soaking it all up and trying to be part of the church, he's fake, he's phony, he's using the black church as a pawn, as a token, and all kind of stuff. I think at the end of the day, his speech was great because if nothing else, even if you think that what he said in his speech is not feasible, which I think it is, it won't be an overnight thing, but it is feasible. Even if you believe that to be so, that it's not feasible, it doesn't really matter because it's all about him just outreaching to the black community. I think at the end of the day, what he said in his speech won't happen overnight, but at least you can make an effort. At least go out there and make an effort to reach out to the community, because the speech is just one thing, but the people's actions in the actual crowd to examine themselves and say, okay, I may be a liberal, I may be a Democrat, but whatever it is, I think that maybe I can improve. I could think differently. Maybe I don't give the Democrat Party my vote blindly. Even if I still vote Democrat, maybe I'll hold their foot to the fire so they will demand our vote and do something to get it rather than taking it for granted like they always do. So shout out to Trump, shout out to Ben Carson, shout out to Omarosa. I think you guys did a good job going to Detroit, doing the community outreach. Like I said, when I was talking to Tommy Lauren, I don't think that Trump will get a large percentage of the black vote, but he will get a large portion of it as it's compared to what, Mitt Romney and John McCain got. Because, with Obama, that was like over 90, 95% of the black vote both times in 2008 and 2012. So I think if Trump can get 20, 25, 30% of the black vote, that'd be huge. And that could be enough to take him over the top. If he gets that vote, also more of the Hispanic vote, and if he can get a lot of the white vote, he'll win. And if nothing else, you'll see a change rather than the same old terror, doom, and gloom that you would get with one Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is nowhere to be seen. I mean, where is she at? Is she in bed with cough drops on the nightstand, chomping them down, trying to prevent another coughing fit? I don't know where she is, but wherever she's at, she's not really out here in the black community reaching out. And if liberals were to dedicate as much time as they do trying to talk about pastors that endorse Trump, like my man Mark Burns, who was accused of not being in a fraternity like he said he was, if they dedicated that much time and energy of investigative journalism into Hillary Clinton and her emails, maybe we could find them. Maybe we can find out what she said that was classified. Maybe we could find out where all the Clinton cash in Haiti went. Maybe we could find that. That's all I got to say. What say you? Do you think that his speech was in any kind of way impactful? Do you think that his speech could move the needle as far as the black vote is concerned? I think it can, because at the end of the day, I think there's a portion of the black population, maybe about 25, 30%, that would like to vote for someone different. In 2012, 20% of black males under the age of 30 voted for Mitt Romney. Unfortunately, only 1% of black females under the age of 30 voted for Mitt Romney, but it kind of gives you hope for the future, because at the end of the day, in 2012, I think Barack Obama got 93% of the black vote. So what that means is that the older generation is going to be more Democrat than the younger ones are. And I think that Trump is appealing to the younger generation, so he'll be able to move that needle in an important demographic, young black voters, and maybe some of the older people may jump on board. And if you're able to get a large portion of the young population and some of the older ones to, kind of change their ways, which is a hard thing to do. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. But if you're able to do that, then you're able to get a large piece of the pie in the black community, which can be very impactful in your election. But do you think that Donald Trump was just giving out empty platitudes? He had an empty speech. What do you think about his speech? Whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.